Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm going to share with you my experience of meeting Ozzy Osbourne this past weekend. I'll give you some insights of what his health is like, as well as his thoughts on if he will ever be able to perform again. Vincent and I will also jump in and talk a little bit about Ozzy's wonderful career, and I even stumped Vincent with one question that he still can't even answer for me. Lots to cover in this episode. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this, so let's jump in and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I have with me my very joyous,
Hello.
happy friend. What's going on, Bloody?
I warned you already. I'm in a silly mood. I'm feeling
I know.
silly. I'm feeling
Oh boy,
silly.
that is.
Silly.
I am glad you are feeling silly and
Silly.
merry and happy.
And merry. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I told you a little scared because I never know when you're silly. I never know where that means we're gonna go, but
Yeah.
it'll be fun no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I have no idea what we're talking about. What are we talking about again?
that's good. Oh, there you
Although,
have it.
although at this point you've already said in your intro what we're talking about, so it's not like
Did I?
people are fooled. No,
Oh
because
yes. Oh yeah,
normally,
yeah, right. In the intro.
hey
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. Yes. Yes. There'll be no fooling the guest, but apparently I'm
No,
fooling
no,
you.
no. Fooling.
No, we're not talking about Def Leppard.
Yeah.
No, I said, you know what? This past weekend, my son and I went to meet Ozzy. First time I've ever met him in person. I know somebody on my page is like, hey, you and the chemist should do a Swedish fish. There you go. You should have Swedish bats. You eat those if we're going to talk about Ozzy.
Swedish what?
Bats.
Oh, do they have that?
I don't know, but they should. It's Halloween time.
We should market that.
I think so.
This is such a joy. Remember when we had the gummy bears that time on our trip to Indianapolis?
I
How
do
much fun
remember
we
that.
had that?
Yes, yes. The Swedish fish, the gummy bear, it's always a premium snack.
Of course, I'm eating it while I'm, let's do a podcast and have me chewing like.
Yeah, it always makes for good viewing for the people watching. Right? Let's see. No, but so like I was saying, and you can see we're gonna go off the rails here today. My son and I met Ozzy a couple of nights ago. Somebody on my page is like, hey, you and the chemist should do an episode on this. I was like, it's a good idea. We've never kind of really done a chat about Ozzy. I know we've reviewed some of his newer albums, you and I, but a little bit of chat about Ozzy, little hand clapping over there. That's right. And I could talk a little bit about, the experience of meeting Oz and what that was like. And his whole family was there as well. So I was like, this will make for a good episode. And then seeing the mood you're in tonight just kind of just adds to it a little bit.
And the fact that I'm getting sugared up, you're in even more trouble. Although I only have 2 more fishies in the bag.
Oh, is that it? That is sad.
Oh, I got plenty of bags left in reserve.
Do you prefer the Swedish fish or the gummy bear?
For all around flavor,
Yeah.
I would take the Swedish fish.
Really?
Yeah, because gummy bears, they're good, but they don't pack the punch.
Okay.
They don't pack the punch like a fruit punch Swedish fish does.
Okay. This is nice. A little self-plug for what company is that? That makes sense.
Who makes these? Yeah, who does make these? I don't know. Oh, what does this say here? Distributed by something Global LLC. East Home.
Well, whoever makes them, I expect a check.
They're actually made in Canada. This is a Canadian product.
Wow, it's a Canadian product. It's not Swedish, huh?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Well, I expect my check in the mail for like $1.12 for advertisement and royalties for this.
You deserve that.
Absolutely, I agree. But anyway, We're not here to talk about Swedish Fish.
Unfortunately.
Maybe the next episode we'll do like our favorite candies, if that makes you happy.
That would be awesome.
Oh.
See, now you took. I got to tell a very quick story. Very quick.
Oh,
Allow me this. Allow me this.
I can always edit it out if I decide this goes on too long.
No, it won't go on too long. I swear to you.
Okay.
And people could comment on this. So I think it would be fun. So this weekend, I use Instacart to shop, and in our area we have Costco. So I do my Costco shopping, and they come and deliver to me. Ever since COVID hit, that's how I do all my shopping. I don't like going to the stores. I just, it's so convenient. They bring it to me. I don't even have to interface with anyone. You're anti-social. I don't even have to interface with anyone. Anyway, so I'm looking. I see they have on sale Fruity Pebbles. Fruity. Now, this was cereal when I was a kid I wasn't allowed to eat because it was too sugary. However, my mom would say you could buy Frosted Flakes, which were loaded with sugar. So it's just because they were colorful, made them look a little bit more sugary, I guess.
Okay.
So I buy the Fruity Pebbles. I'm all thawed. And for Billy who's out there, yes, Billy, that means I was very excited. Yes. Okay. I'm all thawed. I get the Fruity Pebbles. I pour it in the bowl. I got my nice milk. And I eat it. And I'm like, how the hell did I ever eat this? It was so sweet. I literally, I think I did about 5-6 bites, and I just dumped the bowl. It was like so disappointing because I was like, this was going to be great. Now, I'm going to have my Fruity Pebbles.
Did you throw away the box, the rest of it?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
However, I will say this. I will redeem myself with Cocoa Pebbles.
I was going to say, Cocoa Pebbles is the more quality of the two.
It is. And I know it tastes more like Rice Krispies or the Cocoa Rice Krispies, and that's just the old school chocolatey flavor. So, anyways.
Well, you ready? I'm going to tie this all in now. You ready? Watch how I do this. Okay? You're like, how the hell is he going to tie this all in?
And this was not planned, by the way.
This was not. I had no idea what you were going to say.
Why are my lips red, by the way?
Gee, I don't know. Could it be because of the Swedish Fish?
I think I might have put a filter on or something on here.
Good filter to put on. So your mom wouldn't let you eat Cocoa Pebbles as a kid. Would she let you listen to Ozzy Osbourne? You see how I connected it? Yeah, I got you right back on track. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good question. I'm trying to think. Would she have let me listen to it? She would not have been opposed to it.
Really?
Yeah.
So she was more concerned about your sugar intake than you listening to the music of the devil.
Well, that is true. That is true. Definitely. I don't think she paid that much attention to it, quite honestly. Right. But yeah, I don't have a lip color. I had to check this just to see if the and anyway, because Zoom, you could do things, like that, and make my eyebrows like this. Anyways, all right, enough. Okay. No. She I'm trying to think back in the day. I remember, all right, not Ozzy related, but you asked the question. I remember when I got the 45, Come on Eileen. Okay. And my dad said to me, seriously? And I was like, what? Do I have to say anything else about the title?
No, you do not need to.
All right. Okay. So, and they said they had a little bit of problem with that. And that was like, what, 1983? 84, I think that was.
Yep.
13 or 14 years old. And by the way, that was not the reason why I bought that 45. Right. I actually liked the song. So yeah, they had a problem with that. But they didn't have any problem with any of the heavy metal. I don't think they ever had any problem when I started really getting into the heavy metal stuff.
Yeah,
neither, I don't think they paid attention to the. I mean, you had all the posters up in the room. I had the posters up in the basement.
Yep.
I mean, at that point, I'm 16, 17. So not quite yet an adult, but you're pretty much getting, once you're 18, you're supposedly could, still could drink.
Right.
When in New York, it was 21 was the drinking age, and still is, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, no, my parents never gave me a hard time. In fact, Ozzy was my first concert. That was my second concert. My first concert was Kiss, right? So it was my second concert ever was Ozzy. And Ozzy was the first artist that I can recall having any albums from that weren't Kiss, right? So somebody had made me a mixtape like in 1981, late 81, early 82, I guess. it must have been 82 because it had songs from Blizzard and Diary of a Madman on it. And it was a red TDK tape, which I still have here somewhere. And it said on the labels, Ozzy, Ozzy. Why Ozzy, Ozzy and not Ozzy Osbourne? I don't know, but I wrote Ozzy, Ozzy. And I used to play that tape to death. And I became such a huge Ozzy fan. I'll say Ozzy was kind of like my gateway into hard rock music because, you know, Kiss was...
And Motley Crue.
So you say Motley Crue. I did not know who Motley Crue was until January 25th or 6th, 1984, when I went to see Ozzy on the Bark at the Moon tour. And Motley Crue opened up, and I say this all the time, and I probably said it on the show before. I took a camera with me that night. I was in the 7th row to take pictures of the Ozzy concert, and I actually took a picture or two of Motley Crue that night because I was like, this friggin' band is great. So really, to me, Ozzy kind of opened the door to me to, you know, all these different artists that I started listening to.
Now, also, isn't it a classic story that your dad took you to the concert and was sleeping during the Ozzy?
So he did, you know, listen to at least the first half of the show. I know that because,
God bless him.
Because the few days after that, he was walking around the house and he didn't know any other lyric to any other song. But this is my dad walking around the house for days. Mr. Crowley. That's it. Nothing else. He got nothing else. Mr. Crowley. Like that's it. My dad would just keep repeating that. So he and that was, if I remember right, the second or third song that night. So he clearly was awake at the start. But yeah, my dad actually was able to fall asleep during an Ozzy Osbourne concert. God bless him, you know. But he took me and my friend Michael to see Ozzy. And
thanks for the invite.
No problem. This is probably like during that 2-year period where you and I kind of just grew apart a little bit, you know. We spoke about that, you and I, kind of off camera. But my parents had no problem with this. So for me, Ozzy has always been like, if I was putting together a list of artists and people I want to meet, Ozzy was damn near the top of that list because it's like, you know, he was one of the very first, you know, rock artists I ever listened to, you know, and like I said, my second concert ever. So when I heard he was doing this meet and greet in Pennsylvania, I was like, well, I'm going. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. I will be.
Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Oh man. My daughter said the same thing. She was upset with me, but she had to work. I was leaving middle of the afternoon. I could say I was thoroughly thrilled to meet Ozzy.
Yeah.
And
she said that to you. Thanks for the invite.
Not as nicely. Oh man. But you know, so look, we've all heard the stories of Ozzy's health recently, and I know he recently had a back surgery. God knows he hasn't been able to tour now for a few years. He's in his 70s. I expected to meet somebody who was going to be like this old, frail person who didn't have his wits about him. And it was actually quite the opposite, right? So first, you know, we were waiting in line, and I'm going to say this, you know, the Ozzy and the family was great, and I'll talk about that. The convention itself, I hate to use these words, but it was a little bit of a train wreck, the people running it. So I get there like 7:15, and we're waiting in line for 2 hours, just standing there, not moving, not one bit. Okay. Yet I know Ozzy is in there because there's VIPs that are going in and out and coming out with signed stuff, but the line itself is not moving. And the story that was going around is that the convention hall, the people running it were having problems with whatever machines they use to scan people in, etc. Finally, after 2 hours of literally standing there, not moving an inch, we all stop moving, and I get in to meet Ozzy probably about 20 after 10. So I was online for close to 3 hours just waiting to meet him. To Ozzy and his family's credit, the whole time we're standing there and not moving, some of the workers come around and said, Ozzy said he's going to wait. He's going to meet every single person here. He's not going to close the line, because we were supposed to be done by 9 o'clock and start taking pictures. And they were like, you know, he's going to stay, he's going to meet. And he did. He met every single person. He signed, I'll say, every single thing. The only thing they told us is when it started to get late, they were going to limit each person to 10 items or less. I was like, whatever, 10 items. If you're bringing more than 10 items, that's, you know, whatever. I had 2 items. I wasn't in the slightest bit concerned. So once the line started moving, it moved, you know, quickly. You know, I was probably, once it started moving, about 45 minutes until it started moving, until I got in. And at one point, we were probably about 10 people away from getting in. And I guess Ozzy had to go to the restroom. So he actually walked right past my son and I. And he's walking with a cane and all of that. But at a regular speed, especially for, early mid 70-year-old guy walking by himself. Nobody, I thought somebody would be like holding his arm or whatever. He walking with a cane, but walking quickly. Your security tried to stop people from taking pictures or videos or anything like that. But I was like, gee, I wish somebody did have a video of this, because people would see and say, yeah, this guy's moving around. He's not as immobile as the news stories kind of make it sound like. So that was my first impression. I hadn't met him yet, but my first impression was like, all right, this guy ain't dead yet, so to speak. He seems to be moving around. And I just got even more thawed at this point. Like, all right, I'm 10 people away. I just saw him walk by me. Now I'm even more thawed to meet the guy. And we go in there, and I go in first. And I say to Ozzy, hey, you're my second concert ever. You're one of the first artists I ever listened to. And he said something to me. I have no idea what he said. The way when Ozzy talks and he has the accent and he mumbles, I'm like, I have no freaking clue what this guy just said to me. And we talked back and forth for a minute, but I don't even want to say back and forth. I'd say something, he'd say something. I'd say, well, I have no idea what this man just said.
So so nothing that you said to him that he returned back to you.
Oh,
did you understand him?
He was returning back to me, and I can tell whatever he was saying, it was my problem of just not understanding him, because it was just freaking typical Ozzy. It'd be like, oh, thank you, blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, oh, what did he just say? I don't know if it was just my nerves a little bit, but it wasn't like he was mumbling. It was just that typical Ozzy way he talks, right? And I just didn't understand much of what he said, and it didn't faze me in the slightest bit, to be honest with you, because I'm like, I'm 5 feet in front of Ozzy Osbourne right now. This is freaking cool. That's all I kept thinking. I have him sign a couple of my albums and all of that. Then my son goes next. And my son says to him, hey, Ozzy, do you think you're ever going to get a chance to perform concerts again? He literally stopped signing the album that he was signing. He looks up at my son, and his
reenactment. Here we go.
His eyes lit up.
I want to see how it looked like. Let's just do the reenactment. He's signing.
Signing.
With that, with a smile like that,
with a huge smile, huge smile on his face, his eyes lit up, and he was like, I just have to get my legs back in shape, and then I'm going back out on the road. And look, I don't believe that's ever going to happen. I think he wants it to happen, but what was interesting to me is that his whole family was there, but they were in a different room from him. So it wasn't like Sharon sitting there like tugging on him saying, you got to get back on the road. When my son asked him this, the excitement in his face was undeniable, is the best way for me to say it.
Plus, you could understand what the hell he was saying.
And all of a sudden, I could understand what he was saying. Yes, exactly. Even though now I'm like 5-10 feet from the table, I'm taking pictures of my son up there or whatever. And he just seemed so excited. And then it was crystal clear, like when he was like, I just have to get my legs back in shape. So let me just pause there for a moment. Do you think he'll ever tour again or play live shows again?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Although, if there's anybody who's going to get him back on the stage, it's probably his wife. That is the one thing I'll say. Listen, I mean, if he had, and did he have back surgery?
Yeah, he had back surgery just a few weeks ago.
I mean, anybody's had back surgery, it's a major surgery, and touring and stuff like that. Takes a major toll. However, I almost hate to say it, I mean, this has gone on for years and years and years. They take drugs, they take painkillers, they take different things, and they get you up on the stage. And I'm not even accusing. This is not me accusing like a Mick Mars, because I don't know how he got through the pain and managed pain, to get up on stage. But you got to figure there's got to be some sort of pain management, and a lot of you hear about a lot of. It's not just musicians, there's athletes or whatever it is, to manage pain, to get them to be able to perform. And I think that, I in one sense I say, no, absolutely not. I just think the odds are stacked. The odds, not the Oz, the odds are stacked against him because of his age. It's interesting because when you see the pictures, and I saw your pictures, it's in some ways a little sad, because you see this guy he looks, and again, I wasn't there to see him light up like that, but he looks frail, he looks a little like hunched over, or he looks, you could just see like how weathered he is. And, And let's
Well, I'll
face
say
facts.
this, he's in his early 70s. I think this is what you can just say.
Yeah,
He's in his early 70s, but in Ozzy years, he's like 5,000 with what he's done to his
exactly.
body,
Exactly, because you could see someone like, a Paul Stanley or whoever
Yes.
who was taking great care of their body, and
Yep.
everyone's gotten some sort of plastic surgery. Everyone's doing something to try
Sure.
to, and I'm not even faulting anybody for that, but you want to stay relevant, you want to still look good. I mean, you think about there's an immense amount of pressure. You're this idolized, no matter who it is, a female, or a male. You're these idolized figures for all these years. You're in all the magazine covers. You still want to get that high or that whatever, or that feeling of your. So what do? It's almost like you have no choice. I mean, I heard a thing recently that kind of pissed me off. I got to be
What's
honest
that?
with you, and it has nothing to do with Ozzy. But I heard something, if this is true, that they basically told Kelly Clarkson, like, if she doesn't lose weight, she's gonna lose her television show because she was too
Really?
fat. Yeah, because I saw her recently,
That's
and I saw
absolutely
that.
egregious.
Yeah, now I don't know if I have the facts there right, but that should never be.
Agreed.
It should be, about who the person is,
The
and
person, the
what they have
talent.
here. Yeah, and what they have here. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But in this day and age of social media and everything, and especially, is that really what? I know I'm going on a tangent. Here he goes with the freaking tangents. But is that what you want to teach your children? Right?
Well, but
Is
let
this?
me pause you. Let me pause you here
Yeah,
for a moment, right? So you said what you have in here, and you pointed to your head and your heart, right? So you
yeah.
just reminded me, probably about 3, 4 weeks ago, I saw a clip on Twitter, wherever it was. I think it was on Twitter, of Kelly Clarkson walking down the street in Vegas, hat on, jacket, she was not in disguise, but certainly not walking down the street where you're like, hey, there's Kelly Clarkson. And she stopped at a street performer who was singing, and she just she put $5 in the hat or whatever. And the street performer, not knowing it was Kelly Clarkson, was like, hey, do you want to sing a little bit? Did you see this at all? Or, am I telling you
No,
something? Okay.
no.
So Kelly Clarkson was like, yeah, sure. So she starts singing whatever song it was that the street performer was, had on a tape and whatever. And about 20 seconds into her singing, all of a sudden the street performer notices, oh my God, this is Kelly Clarkson.
Mm,
And it was just such an innocent, pure moment, right? And it just happens to be that there are other people standing there, and then somebody caught it on film. Um, that to me just says a lot about who she is as a person, right? She
mm-hmm.
wasn't looking for all this fame and whatever. And, I'm assuming it wasn't her people that filmed this. It's just, and she totally made the street performance day or whatever. And to me, those are the kind of people you want in the spotlight. You want to idolize those kind of people. And if somebody's making an issue of the fact that she gained some weight, oh, screw that, man. You're going down the wrong road. I know there's nothing to do with Ozzy, but you brought this up, and
No,
to
but
me,
it's about image, and it's about
yes,
the way people look, and I was just
yeah.
just going down. I mean, I know I sometimes I do that. I go down a rabbit hole because I was thinking, and however it got connected to what
But I'll say this: I
we were
understand
talking
what you were
about.
saying, Ozzy. My pictures, he looks a little hunched over, and he probably was, but I never got that frail um feeling from him. I never, like, when I saw him walking in the hallway, I never was like, oh my God, this man's gonna fall over. When I went up to the table and I handed him his records, he like slid them back like in like a
Hmm.
and it just like shooting him back at me like that he thought it was like cool, whatever, something like that.
Hmm.
Yes, he's definitely aged. Definitely aged. There's
Yeah,
no denying that. But
yeah.
I actually expected to see somebody who like needed to have, both arms held as he was walking, and, couldn't stand up at all. And I saw somebody that was quite the opposite. Not that I'm saying he could or even should ever perform again. I loved the way he reacted to that. I loved seeing the excitement because, and you said it before, if anybody get him on stage, it'll be his wife, right? But it showed me that even at his age and everything he's accomplished, that fire is still in him. Whether he
Hmm.
accomplishes it or not is almost immaterial to me. That fire is, and I was like, that's why he's recording these new albums, because I guess when you've just done that your whole life, and you know this better than I do, right? You perform obviously much smaller scale than Ozzy does, but it's clear he does not want to let that part of his life go, no matter what, he's going through physically, no matter what he's accomplished, no matter how much money he has. It was clear to me meeting him that day, he does not yet want to let this go.
Hmm. Yeah.
And my wife was like, oh, do you think it could have been an act? I said, no way. There's no way that was too genuine of a reaction when there was no cameras in front of him. There was no, he could have just said, hey, I'm trying, we'll see, I don't know if, but the way his eyes lit up and the excitement on his face was just like, I said to myself, even if he doesn't ever get there, the fact that he wants to and he's holding on to it, and that's making him feel happy, and good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, obviously, I was a big Ozzy fan growing up as a kid. Were you?
Only until really you and I started to
Okay.
hang again. I mean, because although I shouldn't, let me be fair, because I did. My friend Brian, who I've mentioned on the show before, he had the Blizzard of Oz album, and he was the first one that I heard Crazy Train and that whole record.
Right.
And you remember back in the day when we were hanging out, we would go to the Battle of Bands, and
Yes.
every band would play, Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, as you said before,
Yep.
Ain't Talking About Love. There was like, there were
Yes.
certain songs that
It
were
was
like the standards back then.
Yep.
So, again, don't want to reiterate what we've talked about in other shows around that 83, 84 time period. I know the Blizzard of Oz came out in the 80s. At that point, I didn't really know the record. Maybe I probably have casually hear it, but
Right.
from that point forward, from when I really got really enthralled in the heavy metal scene, then I just at that point. So when did Bark of the Moon? Well, Dire Madman came out in, was that 82?
I think, yeah.
Okay, and then Bark of the Moon was 83.
83.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah, because I saw Ozzy in
after that
January of
was,
84, and Bark of the Moon was out already.
and then it was Ultimate Sin after that.
Ultimate
Was that
Sin was, I think,
86?
86. Yeah, I think it was 86.
Right. Yeah. So at that point, then I just started getting all the records and stuff
Right.
like that. And before I actually, to be quite honest, I had known about Black Sabbath before
Right.
I really got known, because I knew, Paranoid, of course, and Iron Man and stuff like that. So
So would you say in your fandom, are you a big Ozzy fan or a Black Sabbath fan? Now, obviously, Ozzy as a
that's a
solo
great
artist would not
question.
exist without Sabbath. All right, that's
That's a good.
but you're gonna slap on a record.
That's
You
a
slap
great
on a
question.
Sabbath. I know it is.
Yeah, think about that one, really. The first thing I'm gonna think of is like a lot of people credit for Sabbath as being like the first, heavy
Yep.
metal band. It's like everything came after that, or you could have debate on that. And such iconic songs from especially the first couple of Black Sabbath records. It's like almost like it's like two separate entities. I mean, it
Ooh,
really is. It's
I
so different in a
stumped
lot of ways,
Vincent. I like this. I stumped you.
Yeah, this is a good question. This is a good question.
Well, I'm going to put it out there to all the people
I,
watching and listening also.
Yeah, I don't know if I could
What's
answer.
your
I don't know if
choice?
I could answer that right on the spot. Normally, me, I'm like,
Yeah,
I answer
usually you
before you
think for a
finish it,
moment and then you answer. I'm going to get a
or
text from you at
or I'm
like 2
answering it
a.m.
as you're saying
tonight.
it.
Yeah, I'm going to get a
Yeah,
text from you. I couldn't
yeah,
sleep. I came up with the answer.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll say for me, it's probably Ozzy.
Mm,
If for no other reason, but Ozzy was my gateway into Sabbath. So I
hmm
first listened to Ozzy. In fact, and I think I've said this on the show also, my first Sabbath album was The Mob Rules, and I didn't know Ozzy wasn't in the band for that album. I just said, hey, I'm really liking Ozzy. I got to get an album. I saw there was a Sabbath album, Mob Rules, not even thinking, hey, they might have replaced Ozzy. And I went and bought it, and then I put it on. I'm like, no, that's not Ozzy singing. Okay. But then I went backwards from there. But just for me, especially those first two Ozzy albums, Diary of Madman, Blizzard of Oz. Look, could Blizzard of Oz arguably be one of the 10 greatest albums of all time? Yeah, I think it could be. I definitely think it could be.
Heavy metal or just records?
Mm,
Well, you got to. Yeah, that's probably unfair to ask you, because
yeah.
there's only certain genres you're going to be in favor of listening to. So
Yeah. Look, I know, but
you're not
look,
you're not gonna put Earth, Wind, and Fire as part of your consideration of on
no, I'm
your
not. But
list. So
I'm not going to sit here and say in their genres that Blizzard of Oz is a better album than Thriller. I might personally like Blizzard of Oz 1,000 times more.
mm-hmm.
The accomplishments of Thriller, that's hard to dispute, right? So I will say rock
Hard to really even
albums.
compare the two, quite honest. Yeah, it's
No,
really. I mean, I don't think.
no, it's not. It's not fair. They're very different style of music, But so I'm going to say 10 best rock albums of all time, and I might even be willing to say top 5 rock album of all time. Blizzard of Oz.
Mm.
I mean, with the exception of No Bone Movies, which I never loved, damn, that album is a freaking powerhouse. That album is just
Mm-hmm.
incredible to me. I've seen Ozzy 3 times in concert. He every one of those times did at least 2/3 of the songs from that album.
So let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Which album is more influential? First Van Halen album or Blizzard of Oz?
Yeah, I just put up on my page. It's funny that you asked that. I just put up on my Facebook page this weekend, which guitarist do you prefer, Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads? So it's
I
kind
didn't
of,
even see that. So it's,
yeah,
yeah.
different twist on the question, obviously. I will probably say I prefer the Ozzy album. And
You
that's
prefer the?
taken
I didn't ask you. That's not what I asked you.
Blizzard of, oh, what? So
I
what'd you
said
say?
what?
More influential?
What? Yeah. What
Oh,
album
more
had more
influential. You have to say
influence?
Van Halen because it came first, right? That whole eruption and all of that. I mean, you have to say that that was more influential, right? And that changed the way people played guitar, including potentially Randy Rhoads, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can't say
Was it
that
Randy Rhoads? Was it Randy
it was Randy
Rhoads?
Rhoads. Yeah, so more influential, you have to say the Van Halen
Yeah.
album. If you're asking me which album is better, I mean, both of them have to be in the top 10 greatest rock albums of all time, but I'd probably give a slight nod to Blizzard. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's taking
I'm
nothing
not
away
agreeing with
from
you.
that
I'm just
Van.
saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
disagreeing
taking
with
nothing
you
away
either, but
from.
I'm just.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
going to ask you which album do you like better, Blizzard or Diary of a Madman, but I think we kind of tipped our hands a little bit on that one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You
I
know,
know so many Ozzy fans say they prefer Diary of a Madman, which I also think that's an incredible album, but not as good as Blizzard to me.
yeah,
Sounds like you agree.
I agree.
Did you ever see Ozzy or Sabbath in concert? No, right?
Yes,
Yes.
to
Ooh.
both.
Oh,
I
whoa.
saw
I didn't know.
Ozzy.
How come I didn't know this? When did you see Ozzy?
Don't pay attention.
I guess not.
When he did the reunion tour with Black Sabbath, what was that 2015, 16?
Yep.
Yeah, so the PNC
Okay. Oh,
Banks.
I think I was at that exact same show.
I think. Well,
The Ozzy reunion. No, we didn't go together.
No, I know that because I know I
went
went with my drum teacher
thanks for the invite.
No, thank you to the invite because mine was last minute and I had to scramble
at the
last minute to get.
So was mine actually.
Maybe did we just acknowledge that we were both there because we didn't meet up.
Yeah,
I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we met up.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, that was the only time I've seen, well, kind of both, because you asked to be Ozzy or Black Sabbath, then yes and yes, but not Ozzy doing Ozzy Osbourne solo stuff.
Interesting.
No.
Yeah, I saw Ozzy.
Yeah.
I've seen Ozzy 3 times solo. 1984 with Jake. 2010, I think the guitar player was Gus G, if I remember right. And then 2018 with Zakk Wylde. That 2010 show was at Madison Square Garden. That was a great show. What a great set list. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it was December of 2010. I want to say like December 6th or 8th or 10th, something like that. Early December. What a freaking great show that was. That was probably, I've seen Ozzy 3 times. It was probably my favorite Ozzy show. I remember he did Killer of Giants that night, which I'm not a big fan of The Ultimate Sin, but I always loved that song. And I was like, that was a quality selection he made that night that I did not expect him to perform. He played for 2 hours. And I was laughing. I was talking to my son about this the other night. It was so funny that night when he's performing, he's jumping up and down, he's clapping his hands, he's got all this energy. The song ends and he shuffles off to the side to get a drink. It's just like it's the funniest thing in the world, watching all this energy he had performing, and then he'd shuffle off to the side at the end of the song. It's just like freaking classic Ozzy. But I remember that 1984 concert still like it was yesterday, man. I was thoroughly thawed to see Ozzy at that time. I wish I would have seen him with Randy, but man, I'm thoroughly thawed. So let me ask you this. You got into Ozzy a little bit later, obviously, once Randy passed away. As an Ozzy guitarist, who do you prefer, Jakey Lee or Zakk Wylde?
I was just going to ask you the same damn question.
Yes, beat him to it.
I literally was just because I had a discussion with one of my guitar player friends about Jakey Lee because I like Jakey Lee a lot. I mean, he's and a lot of reasons why I like him so much is the stuff he did after. I love the 2 Badlands records he did.
Yes,
there might have been 3, but the first 2, I love those records. They're great records. I think I'm more attached to the Jakey Lee, Ozzy Ozzy records than the stuff with Zach Wild, quite
Okay.
honestly, you know.
So I mean, I get.
Um,
Go ahead. I'll let you finish first.
no, no, no. I'm just gonna say, I know a lot of people criticize the Ultimate Sin because it was even more like pop and whatever, because Ron Nevison produced that.
Yep.
But and I know you love "Thank God for the Bomb,"
Nuka
one of your
Nuka.
favorites.
I
Yeah,
can't stand that song.
yeah.
Uh,
But I love that era of it kind of went with the times. Like I always say,
what?
record
So you
companies
like
and
Barefoot
everyone's
Ozzy in the
following the trend.
video?
Won't you listen?
Do you
I
remember him
left my
being
socks
barefoot?
home again. Yeah. Like, why does he have to be barefoot? I did you hear my lyric? Won't you listen? I left my socks home again.
Oh, very good. Oh man, yeah. It's funny
Yeah,
because
it's like
song for song, I think the Zach Wild albums are better. I happen to think No More Tears is a great album. It's probably in my opinion, his
hmm
third best album behind the Randy albums. I like Osmosis.
yeah,
I love some of the songs on Osmosis. See You on the Other Side, Old LA Tonight. I think that's a great album. Also, probably to me, one of the last great Ozzy albums that I loved.
yeah,
But if you're
yeah.
asking me who I prefer, I don't know why I say Jake. And maybe that's because that's, the first guitarist I saw him in concert with and all of that. Um, so even though I like the Zach stuff better, I probably gravitate to Jake also, which is
I
odd.
think it's kind of for the same reason. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I just never attached myself to Zach Wild. I know nothing against him personally
No.
or anything, or his playing or anything like that. And I agree with you on the No More Tears.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's a freaking amazing album. You have to figure Zach is
yeah,
a big reason for that, right? Probably writing most of I know Lemmy wrote with him on that album also, but Zach probably gets a ton of credit for that record. And look, the Bark the Moon album, we know it says all songs written by Ozzy Osbourne, but we also know that that's not true. That Jake wrote most of those songs, the music especially.
a
So
damn shame.
it is. But you know what? I always say this. I try not to get involved with all that business nonsense and all of that because there's two trains of thought. It's a damn shame, and then the other thing is, well, would we even know who Jake E. Lee was today if he didn't play with Ozzy at that time? I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I'll
yeah,
say this:
yeah.
that night I met not just Ozzy, but after I met Ozzy, I met Sharon, I met his kids, and I never really watched the Osbournes a whole lot, so meeting the kids was nice. I was polite to them, but it didn't really. I'll say didn't mean a whole lot to me, and I mean those are disrespect to his kids at all. They were both very nice, very cool, and all that. I was very impressed with his son. Just seemed like to have his stuff together and all of that. So nothing but good things to say. But when I met Sharon, and I know so many Ozzy fans can't stand her and have business ways and all, and I said to her, and I know people can be like, "What?" I said to her, "Hey, Sharon, I just want to say one thing. Thank you for keeping Ozzy alive all these years." And she looked up at me. She's like, "Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate that." And I have to say, I truly, truly believe that if she wasn't in his life, we'd probably have had one or two albums and he would have faded away. She's, like you
Mm,
said before, does anybody get him on the road? It's his wife.
yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
that she's the reason he's had this 40-year solo career. He's been on the road as much as he has, and love her or hate her, I think she deserves that credit. And I felt like when I'm meeting her face to face, I have to acknowledge that. And I also don't think the man would be alive if it wasn't for her. I really truly think that. I
Probably.
think he
Yeah.
would have probably
hmm
drank himself to death somewhere along the way.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
and
Yeah.
she was very appreciative when I said that, and she was very nice. And I've always had an appreciation for what she's done for Ozzy. So that's just me. When I met her, I felt to me that was important to say that to her, and especially knowing the way a lot of Ozzy fans treat her. And I'm not saying from a
hmm
business point of view, I don't understand how people feel, but I can't get hung up on that stuff. It's just that the business side is between the players, not me. Now, look, I'll never sit here and listen to the re-release of Blizzard of Oz with the, I'll say, replacement bassist and drummer. I'll never, there's no disrespect to those guys. I want the original, but the business
hmm
side of it, I'm not going to get involved in it. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
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 So I was thinking of this. We were talking about final show for Ozzy, a final tour, and I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if he'll even do another show, but he's recorded 2 albums, and I have to believe I think he said he's going to do a third, another one. I would love for his final album for him to bring back Jake for a song, to bring back some of the guys that he's played with over the years. Make a final album be like a celebration of his entire career. I know he had Tony Iommi on the last album. Bring in Geezer Butler also. Geezer played with him on some of his solo stuff. I don't know if Randy Rhoads has any demos. I'm not saying songs that he wrote with Ozzy, but maybe like riffs that he used or recorded riffs that he recorded but never used. I'd love to see Ozzy take one of those and say, hey, I'm going to create another song with Randy Rhoads. I'd love to see an album. I'm not saying he's ever going to do this, but to me, I would get really excited if there was going to be like 8, 9, 10 songs on an album, one with Randy Rhoads, one with Jake E. Lee. Of course, you've got to have Zach there as well, right? I would be friggin' thoroughly thrilled over an album like that. Do I have to stop drinking the Kool-Aid here?
They should just follow the Kiss model. What Kiss is doing. I mean, they brought back Ace Frehley. That's right. That was the dream I had. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm talking about members of the family. I'm talking about Peter Criss and Ace Frehley.
That's right. I would love to see, because there's 2 albums that he's put out recently. The last one I didn't love, Patient Number 9. The one before that I thought was very good. But I just love to see him just connect with Jake again. That's like we both just finished saying how that's kind of like the Ozzy era, because of our age and all, that we relate to and gravitate towards.
What is Jake doing anyways? What the hell is he doing?
I know he was doing, what was it, the Red Dragon Cartel. I don't remember.
Yeah.
He was doing that, but I don't think he's doing that anymore. I don't know if he's doing anything.
No.
Whatever it is, it's nothing that's been in my face that I can recall. So I'd love just one song, just one song. Hey, put another song together, the 2 of them. So that would be my wish, even more than a final tour or final shows, because I just don't know that Ozzy's health is up to it. I'd love to see that final album like that.
That would be cool. Definitely, and I agree with you with the Jake stuff.
Yeah. And look,
I was down looking up Jakey Lee and see that there's I'm not seeing anything on Wikipedia. Last thing it talks about is 2013, but
2013.
He did an album with Red Dragon Cartel in 2018.
2018, right? That's what I was trying to remember the name of.
Yeah. So what is he? What is he doing since then? So.
Bring back Brad Gillis. Record a song in the studio with him, man, because I love Brad's take on those Ozzy songs, on the Sabbath songs, right? So I'd love to see Brad record a song with him finally all these years later. I'd love that.
Well, to what you're saying, I saw an interview with was it Mick Jagger, Keith Richards? I don't remember which one it was. Obviously, a Rolling Stone, who they were talking about, their latest album, which it's incredible that these still putting out records,
it's unbelievable.
Rolling Stone, 60 plus years. Anyways, that they had a track or 2 tracks where they had Charlie Watts on the drums, and they asked Bill Wyman to come back and play bass on 2 songs so they could have the original rhythm section. And I was like, that's the way you do it. And he had no problem doing it, and he came back, and he's been retired since, I think he quit the Stones in 93 or something like that, or 90, you know what I mean? So that's what you do.
Yes.
That's how you get, that's how you get back to the band, meaning a member or 2 or whatever.
Bring back Bob Daisley. I don't want to leave him out. Bring back Bob Daisley.
Come on.
And these guys are all instrumental to Ozzy's career.
Look at what's his name? Was it Lee Kerslake? Is that how you the drummer? He was the drummer. I mean, he passed, and
he passed away.
I think there was all kinds of shenanigans that happened with him, and now he can't do nothing. Now he's no longer with us, right? Exactly. So I don't know. I agree with you on that. That would be cool.
That would be my wish list for more than a final show. Would be a final album like that. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Never probably going to happen, but I would still love to see that. But
yeah.
I'm not sure we have much more. Let me say one more thing. So I finally got my picture taken that night with Ozzy and with his family at 12:30 at night. So I was saying before, like what a train wreck it was a little bit, the convention, the way it was run. To Ozzy's credit, he stayed 12:30 at night. I finally get my picture. It was friggin' egregious that it took them an hour and a half to print that damn picture. So I had to wait till 2 a.m. till I finally got my damn printout. But that's not on Ozzy's camp. That's the people running the convention. But again, I just want to give Ozzy and his family a ton of credit, because they sat there. As you walk in, the pictures are always quick, but they were still very friendly and polite with all the fans. And I really, I think of myself in my 70s. Is that really what the hell I want to be doing? Probably not.
Well, if you've never really done it before.
No, and to my knowledge, Ozzy has never done.
No, you said no. You said something. Would you want to do? Isn't that what you said? in the
Yeah.
70s.
At 12 o'clock at night, I don't want to be having to sit there taking picture after picture after. I want to be sitting on my freaking couch. Probably I want to be sleeping.
I mean, understand, you know, the fact that he's not playing and not performing, this might be his high. Is like getting the energy from the fans. Maybe this is what he needs to reinforce if he's going through a depression that he can't sing. So maybe this is what excites him, you know, and have that connection with the fans. Unless you've ever been in that position, you really can't answer that question, with no disrespect to you. But that's how I feel. Like,
None taken.
you know,
And look,
you
you're
know,
saying something very interesting, right? So I figured, hey, Ozzy's never done a convention like this, and this is probably the one and only one he'll do. But you bring up an interesting point. If he can't tour and can't be out in front of the fans, is this the next best way for somebody like him to kind of still feel that love, meeting fans like this face to face? That's a good point. I never thought of it from that point of view.
yeah. You know,
Easier on
listen,
the set that he's sitting in this throne, he's sitting and relaxing, you know. So interesting.
let's face facts. You've been to them where you see the guy who's sitting there is just mailing it in. They're just like, there's no enthusiasm, you know, there's nothing. They're just signing the things. They don't want to even look up with you. I won't name any names. I almost did. But you know, but you know, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, I think for somebody who's not performing right now and has some way of communicating and connecting with the fans, and you know, making them really still feel special, because that's what it all comes down to, is having that lineup of people waiting there to sign stuff, is making the man feel special for the work that he's done, despite of whatever he's done in his life as far as, you know, drugs or whatever. That's, you know, listen, not that I'm, you know, the way I feel about that. You know, you're talking about bands that grew up during an era where this was so prevalent and so in their face, it was all over, you know. And so it's almost like in some ways I can't even fault people who fell into that, you know what I mean? It was just so part of the culture. It's not just music, it was the movie industry, it was lawyers, it was Wall Street, it was all over the place, you know.
Look, Studio
I was just
54 would never exist today, but back then
right.
it was glorified.
I was just watching I just finished watching Tommy Lee interview with Bill Maher, where I'm not really a fan of. I think we may have brought him up before on a show, you and I. And you know, he was just asking him a couple of things, and or Tommy was just telling like what his life used to be like. Like he would go to bed, and before he go to bed, he'd have, you know, a thing of vodka, you know, on his night table. So when he wake up, and he said, I put like a thimble of cranberry juice in it, you know, but he would literally wake up in the morning and just have that. But he was saying at the worst, he was drinking 2 gallons of vodka. You know, like I mean, think about a gallon of milk, right? Now think 2 gallons.
I can't drink
and
2 gallons
like,
of anything in a given day.
right, exactly. And just for like, you know, just to make it activate faster, they would put Jack Daniels in a bottle in the cap and inject it into their vein. So it would, I mean, these guys were, he even said we were out of our mind. And this was like and he goes, how often did he goes, this was every day. It's a miracle that like someone like a Tommy Lee, or maybe even Ozzy, because we know the stories of Ozzy and the ants, and if that happened, snorting the ants, and you know, but not to go off on people's vices or whatever, but I guess why I was saying that, you know, is not to be critical to some of the faults, or some of the, is that the fault the right word I'm trying to say, you know.
But I know what you, I know what you mean. Right.
You know what I mean? You know,
the only difference I'll say to
still,
me, and I know Ozzy has a whole team that works with him with what I'm about to say. But if you're talking about like an Ace Frehley and a Peter Criss as an example for a moment, they're impacting a band. I mean, they're impacting other bands that they're where they're, you know, equal shareholders, if you will, in the business. Ozzy messes up, he's only impacting Ozzy. I know he has other people working with him, but I don't want to say it's different, but it is a little different in my mind. When you're a solo artist and you're a fuck up, for lack of saying it another way, you're really screwing yourself the most, right? Because
well, you're screwing yourself the most, but you also, but you have your band, you have the road crew, you could potentially lose a tour or something like that. So
absolutely,
yes, I understand what you're
saying. But those guys will find work elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
When you're in a band situation, I'm not. This is not right. This is not at all to give Ozzy an out, because I'm not at all, you know.
Yeah.
But it's in my mind just a little different when you're a solo artist and messing up compared to in a band situation and you're impacting your other band members who maybe want to start writing an album and they can't because you're not around. If Ozzy doesn't want to
Yeah.
write an album, it impacts Ozzy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's amazing the man is still alive. It's absolutely
Oh yeah.
amazing that in
Yeah.
his 70s. And, I'll say this
You
again,
could.
I met him and I thought he was going to be much more worse for the wear, and he wasn't. I was surprised.
That's good. That's good. Well, maybe he will be able to fulfill that dream of doing another tour. Who knows?
You know what? I hope for him, he could do one more show, not because I want it, because I think it would make him happy. So I hope he could do one more show somewhere along the way. But if not, to me, he owes us nothing. I mean, he's 50 plus years in the industry, however many, dozens of albums between Sabbath and solo. He owes the fans nothing. I wish he felt of a mindset of, hey, you know what? I've done all I can. I'm in my 70s. I'm going to enjoy whatever is left of my life, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, who knows, right? It's obvious he wants to get back on stage. So for him, I hope he gets on stage one more time, full show, because I think it would mean a lot to him. As a fan, I'd say just thanks, Oz. That's it. I think back to seeing him the first time in 1984, meeting him this past weekend. You've given me everything and then some that I could ever ask for as a fan.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll leave you with this one last question. I'll give you one more chance. Ozzy or Sabbath?
Oh, damn. To quote Doc, damn. Yeah. I think. Oh man, I really can't answer this question. This is so tough. It's like a tug. There's like a mental tug of war.
Wow.
Because part of me wants to say go with the original.
We do this all the time, even just hanging out. Like you're like this or that, this. Yeah. I've never seen you struggle like this. That's why I have to go back to it again.
Because I just think, all right, the original Black Sabbath. I mean, that those albums, those songs are so iconic. But then again, the Ozzy solo stuff is so great, and the Randy Rhoads era, and what that whole new sound was like. It's just it's so different, Yeah. I just, oh man.
I was thinking of this also in rock. Could I think of another person who left a band as big as Sabbath and went on to such a big solo career the way Ozzy did?
It was almost like the reverse Van Halen thing that we talked about. You remember, do you know of another band where lead singer leaves and they got,
Right. This is like maybe the reverse way.
Yeah.
Is there another artist that left such a big band as Sabbath, right? And went on to such a huge, I mean, the fact that we could sit here and you could be so pained. Ozzy or Sabbath, Ozzy or Sabbath.
This Sting.
Sting.
There's like Sting who had a tremendous,
that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first one I think of.
That's a good one.
Although I prefer the Police, material from the Sting, but he was highly successful and with his solo career.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
I know people might say like Paul McCartney or whatever, but and maybe that's fair also.
Really, first of all, the Beatles were aliens. We don't count them.
Right. Exactly.
You don't count him. You don't count John Lennon.
Right.
You don't, it's just like these guys, they were just so damn brilliant. I mean, because the stuff they wrote with the Beatles and then afterwards, it's like.
And like the only thing I would say, and again, I know I'll get crucified for this, but when people go see Paul McCartney, they still want to hear all those Beatles songs.
Of course.
When people go see Ozzy, but when people go see Ozzy, more recent years, he started doing a lot more Sabbath stuff. But when he was doing his solo stuff in the 80s, he would close the show with Paranoid and Iron Man. But it was his own material that he was really living off of when he was touring.
Because it was so damn good.
I know.
And plus, you're trying to promote. I'm not in that band anymore.
Right.
It's like what Kiss was doing at the time too, doing so much 80s material. They lost focus of like the first record and second record or whatever. Yeah. Because that's what they were trying to promote, at the time.
But I think even when people would go see Sting, right, to use your first example, and he was definitely successful as a solo artist, but if I go see Sting, I still want to see those damn Police songs more than his solo material.
So I'll tell you a very quick story, and then I know you probably want to wrap this up.
Yeah, then we'll wrap.
So, and I think it was 1990 or 91 I went to go see Pat Benatar at the Beacon Theater. She had just put out her True Blue record, which was a blues record.
Okay.
Okay. Now the band was Neil Giraldo, who is her husband,
Yep.
and everybody else was not from the band. And back then you didn't have Setlist FM or any of that
Right.
stuff, you know. And she basically did a whole night of blues, that record, basically. And I'm like, where is my Hit Me With You? Where's
Right.
And we were all like, she's got to do one of the hits.
Right,
She
right.
did not do one
Really?
classic Pat Benatar song. This was
Wow.
all about the genre that they were really focusing in, which takes a lot of balls to do.
It does. Yes.
You
it
know,
does.
because there were people who were like walked out of there pissed off, you
Oh,
know,
sure.
because
I
that's
would
what
have
you want to
been.
alienate your fan. Yeah.
Go see the Who and see how I feel about that. Go ahead. Continue.
Such a baby.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was them. The Who was like, they were basically played all the hits compared to what they did at the Benatar show. You know, like nobody knew those songs unless you bought that record. But yeah, that was gutsy. That was really
my
gutsy.
point is, though, when people go see Ozzy, if Ozzy did 2 hours of his solo stuff, I don't think people would be leaving, especially in the 80s and 90s. People wouldn't be leaving saying,
no,
oh, but he didn't play Iron Man, you know, because his solo stuff was so well thought of, right? So yeah, I think more people would be upset if they go see Ozzy and he doesn't do Crazy Train than Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a solo artist, obviously. I think if you go see Sting or if you go see Paul McCartney, and they don't do Police songs or they don't do Beatles songs, you're leaving pissed off.
Well, you remember when the tribute record came out?
Yes.
How thoroughly thawed we were.
Oh yeah.
And it was just such a big deal when that came out, and how, I mean, go back and listen to that record. Really, if you haven't listened to that in a while,
it's been a few years.
That is an awesome. Yeah, that is and me too. But I just remember it, you know, listening to it. It's just what an incredible record, you know. Thankfully, we had that, or they had that, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I think this is a good conversation, a good opportunity to talk about Ozzy and kind of piggyback it off of the meet and greet. I'm going to let you off the hook for tonight. I expect a text tomorrow, and I expect to hear from all the people watching and listening, Ozzy or Black Sabbath. Answer the question for me that Vincent cannot answer. I'm curious to see what other people have to say. I feel like you want to say Ozzy, but you're always an original man, and you're having a hard time choosing Ozzy over original Sabbath. You know,
that's basically what it is. You know, because I think what it is, my youth, Black Sabbath was already done. At least the Ozzy Black Sabbath.
Yes,
I grew up more in the Ozzy solo stuff, so that's near and dear to my heart. But then I think about, like I said, those first couple 4, you know, Black Sabbath records, which were so influential, such great records. Nothing has ever sounded like it before then, or after that. Let's face facts, you know. So it's just so hard, and that's why it tugs at me.
Well, I'll leave people with these questions: Ozzy or Sabbath, Jake or Zach, and do you think Ozzy will ever perform again, based on what he said to my son and you know all of that? And do you want Ozzy to perform again? Or are you okay with what he's given us at this point? That's how we're going to leave this one.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, you were a little silly at the top. You Swedish fish, I think we're getting the better of you. But we got through this somehow. Empty bag. Oh, man, that's great. But as always, my friend, thank you for taking the time to chat.
No problem. Always a pleasure.
I did text you. You never responded on another episode idea. Don't give it away if you remember. Maybe
give it away. Give it away now.
It was not the Red Hot Chili Peppers, no.
Okay.
But
I have to go back and think about that.
I'll remind you.
In my Sheffield.
I'll remind you when we're done. This is one you're going to want to do. I'll remind you when we're done chatting about this. But on this note, everybody, let me know your answers to those questions. Let me know your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching. And we leave you with double ring out.
Or I thought we were going to do something Ozzy related.
Ozzy clap.
You got to clap with the double Ringo.
Ozzy Ringo. There you go. All right. Later, everybody.
Ozzy Ringo.
Alrighty, there you have it. My experience meeting Ozzy Osbourne in 2023, I was so happy to see him up and about, and certainly his health seemed a lot better than I had anticipated. I was really happy to see that. We certainly like to hear your thoughts and your comments on what you think about Ozzy versus Black Sabbath. Which do you like better? Vincent, I'm still waiting for an answer, and I expect a text from you any day. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.